Welcome to Politics Arkansas. I'm Joey Williams, your host, and today's topic is pressing matters in Pope County. We're very honored to have Larry Walker here from Russellville, Arkansas. Larry, thanks so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this topic.
Hey, Joey, thanks for having me here today. I'm a longtime resident of Russellville. I was born and raised there. Left during college, moved down to Houston, Texas for a while, worked for a large accounting firm in Houston. And I moved back to Arkansas as a pastor. I'm a CPA, I'm a pastor. I recently graduated law school, so I'm also an attorney. So this kind of, Russellville, I'm very passionate about Russellville, and I'm passionate about social things like this. My wife and I, we have 4 kids. And I know what Russellville is like, the good that Russellville has to offer, and knowing some of the things that we're going to address today that are not so admirable in this industry that they're trying to bring into Russellville, where my kids are going to be raised. And so that's why I'm passionate about it. I want my kids to have a good, safe place to be raised, and I want to see Russellville be all that it can be.
So tell me, what's going on in Pope County? What are some of those pressing issues?
Right now, the big thing in Pope County are the casino issues. It's been going on since 2018 with the election that happened in 2018. So we're a year and a half down the road with this, still fighting the big industry coming in that's been imposed upon Pope County through Amendment 100, and we're still fighting those battles.
Gotcha. So tell me more about this gambling issue. I mean, how did it initiate, and what's kind of the history behind it?
So Amendment 100 came about. A bunch of outside money was poured in from outside of Arkansas with the casino industry. They came in and really just kind of got this thing pushed through the state. And at the end of the day, there were 4 locations that could have a casino, or that would have a casino supposedly, and then that would be Hot Springs, West Memphis, Jefferson County, and Pope County. And that was without any input from the citizens of those localities.
Sure.
So that came to us, and Pope County voted against that 60-40, but the rest of Arkansas voted that in. And so even though what would be considered a landslide in most elections at 60-40, Pope County still is faced with this situation of possibly having a casino because the rest of Arkansas said, Pope County, we want to vote this in and you're going to get it.
Gotcha. Well, tell me about some of the social issues with having gambling, because, the flip side of the other arguments always, hey, listen, they're going across the border to gamble anyway. They're going to Missouri, they're going to Oklahoma. So
Right.
Why not have it in our own backyard?
Right. And that just doesn't hold a whole lot of water when you do that. Yes, people do go outside the state to do that kind of thing. But generally, when you look at that, so you would look at, say, Russellville, and they would generally measure that anywhere from a 10-mile to 50-mile radius of the impacts that it has. And so when you have that casino, say, in Roland or Picola that are across the border, we don't really fall within that 10 to 50-mile radius for those folks. And so the social costs that come with that, addictive gambling, divorce rates, things like that, they weren't really affecting our county to the extent when they're actually located in your county. And you see all kinds of fallout. Statistics prove it nationwide. Whether you want a casino or don't want a casino, the statistics are the statistics. And that's what we're looking at.
Well, tell me about some of those statistics socially. How does this really impact the social group, and who bears the burden, who pays for those particular social downfalls?
So like in Amendment 100, give an example, it requires that casinos put in annually $200,000 into this pot for addictive gambling. If you have a gambling addiction, this money goes in there to help it out. On the face, oh, that sounds great, they're going to put money in. But when you break it down, say like for Pope County, and in Pope County, you're going to have, or not Pope County, but really the river valley around Russellville. So going from, say, Clarksville to Morrilton, Pottsville, Atkins, Dardanelle, in that radius, say 50,000 adults that are available there for their population. And if you were to take the statistic is, in that radius, 2.5% will be affected by pathological gambling disorder. And that, when you talk about pathological gambling disorder, that's like extreme gambling disorder. I mean, we're talking people will sit at a slot machine, they will not get up. It gets really bad. I mean, just as a kind of a crude example, but what they say is these people will go to the extent that they'll go buy Depends and wear them so that they can stay there all day and not have to leave that machine.
So definitely a psychological issue.
Absolutely, like exactly. And so the studies show across the board, 2.5% of people within that population will have that kind of disorder. Now, and that's not just saying the people that would go in that just have a problem with it, not to that extent, but just have a problem. I mean, then you're talking about 5, 6, 7% of the population is going to fall in some realm of that capacity, not to the extreme, but in some realm of that capacity. And that to help treat that, you're talking $1,200 per person annually. So let's say we had 2.5% of the population, that 50%, and we're going to go the conservative route, go 50%. We are looking at somewhere around $1.5 million a year to cover that from a social cost perspective.
Wow. What part of the population is this target? Are we seeing the more wealthy, the more middle class, the lower class when it comes to wealth?
Yeah.
I mean, who really hurts from this policy?
Definitely lower income families. Absolutely. I looked at several scholarly articles on this, and I can't remember, I think it came from maybe the University of Illinois. They had done an article on the taxation that comes from this, and their article was titled something to the effect of the most regressive form of taxation, gambling. Oftentimes we either advocate for either a flatline tax or a progressive form where the least income pays the least amount of tax in proportion to their income and going on up, right? Mm-hmm. Well, with a regressive form, those who make the least pay the biggest portion of the tax. Mm-hmm. And in this situation, that is the case. So on average, people will spend about the same amount when they go to a casino. But if you are living on $20,000 a year and you go take $1,000, and somebody else is making $100,000 a year and they take $1,000, that percentage to the population,
sure, the impact is
totally different. Totally different. And wow. So it highly affects them. On another thing that say like we talked about the pathological gambling disorders with them, the casino revenue across the nation, anywhere from 40 to 60% of their revenue comes from those with a gambling disorder. And so it's an industry that preys on people that are addicted to it. And so I think I heard down in Pine Bluff, they're putting something like 2,000 slot machines into that casino. I'm not sure the number in Pope County of what they're looking at. I'm sure it's similar. But they're going to this because they computerize these, and the whole idea of the slot machine is to keep you in that place and not let you move. So whether it be the lights that are being used, the sounds that are coming from it, the amount of times that you win to keep you coming back to it, and how much you win to keep you in that place. Studies show that those machines are set up to keep you there. And so those that are prone to the addictions, even more so, will stay there and just keep putting more and more into it. So where we're going to lose our paycheck. When we lose our paycheck, then we start talking about home foreclosures. We start talking about bankruptcies. We start talking about divorces in families. And that's really what we're looking at and what we're facing.
Well, share some of that aspect of, the effects of gambling. You talk about bankruptcies, foreclosures. I mean, in your research, what do you see in those particular cities or counties that have gambling, how that affects the economic side of the county and the state? Right.
Let's talk about real estate values, property values. Most studies will show that within around a casino, home values will decrease 2 to 10%, depending on how far you are from it, how much traffic's involved, different things. On average, it's about a 4.6% decrease in property values. So I just ran this, talked to some realtors in town. Russellville last year, the median home sale was $144,000. And over the last 5 years, there's been an average of 500 homes sold per year. So that'd be $72 million. If you went at the decrease, that number would decrease by $3.3 million in the property value. So instead of having $72 million in home sales, you're going to have $69 million in home sales.
An obvious decrease in economic activity, when it comes to buying those homes. So it does make an impact.
Absolutely.
On the home side.
Absolutely. So people are going to be losing their home values. With a casino in an area, The average, say like bankruptcy, let's go to the bankruptcy side of it, 1 in 1,000, there's an increasing 1 in 1,000 in bankruptcies. And that's, you say, well, 1 in 1,000, that's not a big deal. Well, all of a sudden, if you've got, say, in Pope County, there's 30,000 households. So now you've got 30 units. So essentially 30 more bankruptcies per year in Pope County. Well, who's going to bear that cost? Who's going to take care of those families now that don't have funds to take care of their family, their home that they had that's now in foreclosure? It's a ripple effect throughout society.
Is there any other social issues that we should be aware of, when it comes to gambling? Like what's kind of the worst scenario that you've seen in your research? Talking about fostering gambling, addiction and so on and so forth. But is there any other issues that kind of bring about because of gambling?
Absolutely. Divorce. Divorce, family is a basic structure in our society, and gambling tears that down. You look at it, the rates on these pathological gambling addicts, they're 2 to 3 more times likely to get divorced. Gambling workers have the #1 rate of divorce of any occupation in the United States. So you're bringing, they're saying they're going to bring in 1,700 jobs with this casino. And I don't know if that's directly I think that's direct and indirect jobs. So let's say it's 1,000 jobs that they're going to come in. Those 1,000 people that they're bringing to work, or they're putting to work, they're putting at risk, substantial risk of having a divorced family, single parent homes, things like that.
Definitely an impact on the economics.
Definitely,
of the county, of the state,
absolutely.
of the city.
Absolutely.
We'll tell the people that are watching this afternoon what can they do, especially if they're from Pope County. What could they do to kind of combat this besides voting, going out to vote in this upcoming election? What would you suggest that they do?
Well, absolutely. Like I said, go out and vote. That's a big thing. Get on the phone, call your quorum court members, call your city council members, call your state senator, call your state representative. Get on the phone, talk to them, talk about this issue. There is a sense in Pope County, like I said, 60% voted against this. And as this has gone on, I think people have become aware of the backroom deals that have happened, the closed door secret meetings that have happened. It was pointed out by the special prosecutor recently. And people have become extremely skeptical of what's going on and how this stuff is being handled. And so people have become even more intrigued. And I would say if you were to run a vote right now, you're probably going to be looking at something greater than 60% because people are just angry. However, people feel like at this point it's being imposed upon them. There's nothing we can do. And there's almost a sense of defeat among those people. And so I would say, hey, it's not over. The court battles are still raging. We're going to be appealing to the state Supreme Court on one case. There's a court case in Pulaski County before Judge Wendell Griffin. There's another court case before Judge Fox in Pulaski County. The court cases are ongoing, and we believe that those are going to be going our way and providing Pope County an opportunity. I mean, Amendment 100 gives Pope County a choice. It says that you don't have to have a casino unless your quorum court and your county judge sign a letter. And the people told them overwhelmingly not to do that. Then they had these secret meetings, and they went ahead and did this without the people's consent. And that's what's being challenged in court. And,
fantastic.
And so the people can give to the cause to help fund those things. It's expensive. And so there's a lot of things that can be done, but I would say just don't lose hope. Keep speaking out against it. Let your voice be heard.
Well, I hope you can join us again and talk more about those cases. It's a very interesting topic, and hopefully, the people's voice does get out there and is heard effectively. So thank you so much for being here. We sure appreciate Larry. That's another edition of Politics Arkansas. I'm your host, Joey Williams. Thanks for listening.